So a lot has happened in the real estate market. We've seen interest rates drop. We've seen the prices go up, go down. We've seen buyers go into properties with an influx of submitting in an offer. In this video, I really want to cover three main things that have impacted the market today, just to give us a good update on where we currently are today. So the three things we're going to be covering here is, one, we're going to talk about the inventory and lack of inventory. So we'll look at this, and depending on where you are sitting at. Then the second thing is the prices. So the prices have not dropped like a lot of buyers are potentially hoping. Obviously, sellers want the prices to go up. But this time of the year, with all the changes that have gone on, the prices have still maintained that high price point. Then the third thing we're going to look at is the impact that the interest rates have brought into the market today. Well, we obviously found that the interest rates have been dropped. What impact has that had into the market? We'll just cover a little bit of this because I know I've talked about this in detail in the last two videos, but there's still a huge impact on this. Before I get into the first point, for those who are new here, my name is Clement. I'm a real estate broker here in the Greater Toronto area, and I'm mainly focused in this channel talking about real estate. I bring in knowledge about the real estate market in the Greater Toronto area and just give you as much information, whether you are a first-time home buyer, a seasoned buyer, an investor, or a seller looking to gather information in this market. And so the first point, inventory. So this is pretty much supply. This has doubled from this time last year. Last year, the active number of listings was 14,108. This year, the active listings are 23,613. And the months of inventory has gone from this time last year, it was at 1.9. And this year, it's at 3.8. So meaning last year, it will take around a month and a half to sell an average home. This year, it will take up until 3 months. So this month of inventory gives us good information to say that it's taking a little bit longer for homes to sell today. And this will typically have a huge impact on the properties that are currently in the market today. So just picture yourself owning a store and you have a product sitting on the shelf and this product is not moving. What are some of the things that you'll have to do to move this product away? Maybe you might have to take it back and reconstruct the product and put it back in the shelf at a different price point. Maybe you might have to move it around. So this is what's going on with the market today. The active listing is just too long, and part of the reason is obviously because buyers are deciding to just hold back. And I'm going to talk about this in the next point. So let's look at some of the reasons as to why it could be taking this long for some homes to sell. The first one for sure is buyers need more incentive to get back into the market. Yes, the interest rates were dropped. Now, a lot of buyers are just sitting back and watching to see what's going to happen. So typically what happens when you have an interest rate drop, you have an influx of buyers coming into the market. You see the transaction number going up. This time round, it actually went down. This time, buyers sat back to watch what's going to happen in the market, because the interest rate, even though it has dropped by 0.5%, it is still significant in terms of the mortgage that people are still going to be paying. So we're talking about a difference of $200 on a $5,000 mortgage, $6,000 mortgage. People are still looking at that and thinking, you know what? Let me just keep on waiting. Let's see how low this can go. Another reason some buyers have decided to put the purchasing plans on hold, maybe because of the holidays, kids have gone out of school, going out on trips, vacation. That could be a reason. The other reason could be some buyers, which is, I'm going to talk about this, they're trying to time the market. They feel like the prices could potentially drop coming towards the end of the year, which I would say, if that is your plan, you want to look into it again. The other thing here is the seller's expectation does not match the value of the market today. And this is happening a lot. Sellers are saying that the interest rates have dropped. Oh, so that means the value of my house can go up. I can get the price that I want. And you're getting an offer that is still low as a seller, and you're staying confident. You're staying firm on the price that you want, and you're relating the value of your house according to your situation, as opposed to relating the value of your house to the market. And that typically, when you get sellers who don't have that expectation set correctly, your property will stay in the market for a very long time. And you'll see that all this reason has resulted to the price point staying stagnant. From last month to this month, the prices haven't changed too much. It has actually dropped by 1.6%. Not such a huge change, But let's look at this at the next point. So the next point here is the price has not dropped significantly. So I'm going to shoot out some numbers here for you to give you a good understanding. I don't want to talk percentages, because if I told you the price has dropped by 1.6%, what does that really mean? So let's look at it this way. Today, the average price for all type of homes is $1,162,127. This time last year, the average price for all type of homes was $1,182,120. So that is a 1.6% drop from this time last year. Now let's look at it from the previous month to today. In May, the average selling price for all type of homes was $1,165,000. In June, the average selling price is $1,162,000, as I mentioned. So you can see the price point has not changed drastically. Now, I want to show you this graph so you can actually see the flow of how this looks like. I use this graph for a lot of information. When I'm talking to my clients, I show them this graph so they can actually see the movement of the average selling price. It's very important, particularly if you're a seller. It's very important for you to have a good understanding of this. So if you look at here, this is all the way from March 2020 up until June of 2024. If we draw a trend line on this and we draw it from the bottom of May of 2020 up until June of 2024, obviously the peak points are there in February of 2022, which the average price at that time was 3.2, and obviously has dropped significantly to today, which is at 1.16 as mentioned. Now you can see what has happened from the month of April. The prices went up slightly, but it's not such a huge difference towards the last 3 months there. And this is the time when the interest rates were dropped, as you can remember, to 0.5%. So when you look at this, what are you going to see in the next coming months towards the end of the year? This price point is probably going to stay the same, or it could potentially go up because there's another potential announcement on the interest rate potentially being dropped. Once the buyers in the market have a grip, have a good understanding of what's going on, typically what happens is the buyer confidence comes back into the market. So you just have to watch when there's buyer confidence in the market. Typically, this would increase the purchasing price. Not significantly, but it would potentially go up. So if you look at that graph, and I saw this article and I just thought, let me just share it with everybody so you can actually have a good trajectory of the real estate market. The one time that it completely went off the trend line, this is in the pandemic time where the interest rates were 1.2%, which is just crazy. Now, I read an article over the weekend as I was preparing for this video as well. And I saw this article and it said the average Toronto home price could hit $2 million in the next decade. In the next 10 years, analysis suggests. So when you look at this trend line, this article must seem crazy today. But when you look at the trend line from where the one that I just showed you today is from 2020. I'm almost positive if we go 10 years ago when the average price, let's say in 2014, at that time the average price was around $700,000 to $800,000. And today we're now sitting at 1.1%. At some point it was already at 1.36%. It's not crazy enough to think that the average price in 10 years time could potentially hit $2 million. It was a very interesting read, and I just thought I should mention it here. So for those who are trying to time the market, you want to be very meticulous on how you're going about this, honestly. So it does not mean you have to rush into the market. It does not mean you start getting nervous. It does not mean you start getting antsy at the moment, but it's just something to pay attention to on how you could potentially move forward. So now let's look at the third point, and this is regarding the interest rate. What is the impact that the drop of the interest rate has brought to the market today? Well, as I've mentioned earlier, buyers reacted to this. Obviously, a lot of buyers are very happy. A lot of first-time home buyers are really happy about this. Mortgage brokers got a lot of applications after the whole interest rates announcement happened. Now, tackle this with the inventory that is currently in the market, and also some sellers not coming to terms with the price point that is not matching that of the interest rate. They're hoping the prices to be a lot higher, and you're getting buyers coming into the market and submitting offers that are lower than what the sellers were expecting, and it's also staying in the market a little bit longer. So this is happening a lot, but the impact that the interest rate has brought into the market has actually helped a lot of buyers to feel like they can potentially come in, submit applications to get a mortgage, and a lot of homeowners, sellers have now gone into doing a refinance to see if they could potentially lower their monthly payments. Or some sellers have locked in and they just don't want to even entertain this thing going up again. It could potentially go lower, but I understand when sellers are just feeling like, you know what, I've had a huge significant drop on my monthly payment. Let me just lock it in and just wait another 3-5 years, which could potentially be in a good position. And the other impact this has brought in is a better planning. Before, when the interest rates were at 1.1%, 99.99%, at that time, a lot of buyers were just coming in, submit an offer, who to do, and just waiting. You have 20 offers on the table, and we can increase by 50,000. It didn't really matter at that time. This time around, what I've noticed with a lot of buyers, which is a great thing to help me as a professional, they're very meticulous, they're very patient. They do a lot of research before submitting an offer. You do the math, you do the calculations, you do the amortization in there, which is a great thing, which helps you when you're submitting an offer, which helps you once you get the property. The other benefit that this has brought in is when you're submitting an offer, today you can actually do a conditional offer, conditional on finance, which helps you as a buyer in negotiations to make sure that the property you're purchasing actually is of its value, because they'll have an appraisal go in there, or they might do what we call a soft appraisal to make sure the value of the house is correct. So this is some of the impact that this has brought in. It's not as exaggerated as a lot of people were hoping it to be. Potentially it could be in the next announcement, because the next announcement is coming up very soon, and this could potentially hit the market significantly. All these properties that you're seeing in the market today, if you're a buyer, I'll tell you, and you're ready, I would say just get ready. Just make sure you are ready to pounce on the opportunities that are coming up. So I said I'm going to give you a bonus if you are a buyer, a first-time home buyer, seasoned buyer, whatever kind of buyer you are. I said I was going to give you a good bonus. But this is particularly for first-time home buyers. I will say this, the main question that we always get, or I always get from any person who is looking to get into the market. Okay, there's two kind of buyers. There's those buyers who are ready to buy, and there's those buyers who are just not ready to buy. And from these two categories, I still get the same question. Should I buy right now, Clement, or should I wait a little bit later? That question is, if I could charge people for that question, I'll be making good money from that question. I'll tell you that. Because I understand where people are coming from with this. Because when we had interest rates being at a high point and it became so expensive, and now you're seeing the interest rate dropping, and you're wondering, is it going to drop to the same amount that it dropped in 2021? Maybe I should just wait a little bit. What would this do? I'm here to tell you, if you're a buyer that's ready, what do I mean by ready? You got your approval done. You know the numbers on a monthly basis and what you can afford. You have the down payment. You have good income, good household income if you're buying yourself, or if you're buying with wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend. If you have all those things together, I'll say that just go ahead, put everything together, and make sure you're doing your research ahead of time before you potentially submit any offer per se. Now, there's those who ask this question and they want to get into the market because of the, let's say, hype that's going on around, or the pressure. And this is something that I've noticed here in North America, or in Canada, particularly in the Greater Toronto area, because I used to live in Calgary. Here in the Greater Toronto area, there's this pressure on buying a home, and there's some people who you're just not ready. It's just you shouldn't be buying a home. It actually could be very beneficial for you to rent as opposed to buy. And if you fall under that category, there's no point of pressuring yourself to get into that, because you don't want to be in a situation where 90% of your monthly income or your monthly check is going towards paying a mortgage. And this is where a lot of people are in right now. And if you have the ability to just wait, keep on saving. Make sure you put yourself in a position where buying a home is something that you're doing for your family, you're doing for yourself, because this is something also as well that I noticed here in the Greater Toronto area, is a lot of people buy homes because of this whole investment and I want to make more money through real estate, which is absolutely correct. Though the main purpose of buying a home is so that you're able to have obviously a good home, something that you can go home to, something that you feel like you have ownership to, and you have a good place where you can turn into your own family to enjoy. So get back to the roots of that and make sure you're in a position to actually purchase a home. Then the other point on this is timing the market is a wrong way to go about this market right now. Because if you're trying to time the market, that means you're waiting for that moment. You're waiting for that moment where you're like, oh, the market is going to drop. There's a way on how you approach this. Let's say you're trying to time the market. Instead of timing the market or timing the interest rate to drop so you have a certain price point, what I would say is maybe time the opportunity when you get the right home, but put yourself in a position where you have looked at the location that you want to move into. You've looked at all the criteria that works for you. You're still going out there to look at some properties. If you don't want to deal with a real estate agent, go to open houses. They're there. And you can see some of the houses that are there. Place yourself in a position where you're timing the right opportunity, as opposed to just sitting back and saying, I'm timing for the market, I'm timing to wait for the interest rate to drop. Then at that time is when I'll actually go ahead and get my approval and get all those things. By that time you get your approval and everything's completed, it's going to be around 2 to 3 months. I have a client that I've been dealing with right now. It's almost 2 to 3 months now that he's now ready to get out there and purchase a condo for himself. And by then, there's a lot of opportunities that I've already passed by. And this is a client that I kind of was explaining the same point. So if you're not ready, be honest with yourself. Just say you're not ready and have a good plan on how you're going to get yourself ready. The next thing is, who should really be buying now? The people who should be buying now are those who are ready. As you can see, the inventory, the number of properties that are in the market today has doubled. The active listing is around 23,000 in the Greater Toronto area. There's opportunity in there. As a buyer today, you're able to go in there and negotiate for whatever house that you want. That's a big point that a lot of people are missing. Before, we were not able to negotiate. Before, you had to submit an offer and you're in competition with a lot of people. Right now, you as a buyer, you have the leverage. And this is not going to last for too long, because once the buyer confidence comes in and you have a lot of more competition and you have a good property that's in the market, trust me, there's going to be 5-8 people going for the same property. But that is not the case. When people are lingering around and just waiting, this is the time for a buyer that is ready, not a buyer that's still thinking. Just make sure you get yourself to the point where you're 100% ready, and then you can pounce. Then lastly is renting. Renting is not a bad idea for a lot of people. I have some clients who have had to sell their home to go ahead and rent because that monthly payment is just too much. Remember, guys, this is a lifestyle that you also have to go after here. If you're going to bed stressed out every single day because 95% of the money you're making is going towards your mortgage, you could either keep on paying mortgage of around $5,000, or you get a rental property for the same kind of house or the same kind of property for around $2,500 to $2,600. That's a significant change on your monthly, on your lifestyle, on the stress. Because remember, this is a long-term thing. Real estate is not a 6 months, 1 month, 2 years type of thing. Real estate is a long-term trajectory. If you just saw the article that I showed you there, where in 10 years time, the average price could potentially get to $2 million. I know you're worried at that time I might not even be able to afford. When you're going into the renting aspect, it does not mean that you're giving up on the home ownership dream. It just means you're going to plan yourself a little bit better and put yourself in a place where when you purchase your next home, it's not going to choke you, it's not going to stress you. So I'll leave this with you. I hope you guys have found some really good value information from this. And if you have any questions, if you want to reach out to me, I have a link down here. I know a lot of clients like to get into some Zoom calls or just get into a quick call. I'm always available for you. I have a calendar link in here. Schedule a time with me or just shoot me a quick text. Comment down below. I'll always reach out to you as soon as possible. Until next time, guys, see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.